Hello everyone, welcome back to Edible Abundance Homestead. I'm Ginger and today is October 13th. It's been a while. It's been just, busy fall stuff. We went to a fall festival today. We've been up to the local orchard and got apple seconds and started making as much applesauce and apple butter as I can. I did a batch last night of applesauce and a small batch of apple butter just in a little crock pot that I have, not to actually can it. I did can the applesauce though. And I have another bag of apples to get through, and then hopefully we'll get back up there again this week and do another round and just keep making applesauce. I'm hoping, it might be pushing it, but I'm hoping I can have 24 quarts of applesauce done before the season is over. I already have done maybe like maybe not quite 8 quarts, maybe like 6 quarts, and it's almost all gone. So we need to make a lot of applesauce. So out here in the garden, I'm kind of just waiting to see what happens. Things aren't really growing all that well. I think mostly because we've had like no rain, and I've been trying to water somewhat regularly, but a lot of times I just don't make it out here to water as often as I should. One thing that I haven't talked a lot about that has really done quite well is this trellis of cucamelons right here. Everyone's shouting. It's okay. You can see these cute little guys. I have made several batches of refrigerator pickles with them, and actually I think I probably have enough once I pick what's out here to make another quart of refrigerator pickles. I've been doing bread and butter, like the sweeter pickles. I think maybe this round we'll try like dill or something like that. And these have also been snacked on mostly by me because I have a tendency to come out here and like, oh, what can I eat in the garden? Since there's really not much left to just eat out here, especially now that the tomatoes and those sorts of things are gone. I just come out here to snack on cucamelons. They're really good. So anyway, I'll walk around here. This is kind of like the back side of the garden. You can see this is 2 plants on this little trellis, and they've done great. And they've done really well on this little trellis where some other things had trouble climbing it. I think because the openings, the little, the wire, it's a piece of welded wire fence. I had like a scrap of fence left over. And I think some things had trouble climbing it because of the spacing, and these guys have done great. And I like them a lot. And so I think next year I will put 2 on each side of it, because next year, one big difference, I am not doing 3 sides of trellises with noodle beans on it. That happened because I had a friend give me some noodle bean seeds after I had already planted a full trellis, and so then I put them on the other side of this little trellis. And we like the noodle beans, but not that much. They are very prolific. They're still producing. I could still probably get maybe a side dish of noodle beans off of here. We're over them. Now, I have not opened up the jar of noodle beans that I canned as an experiment yet, but I don't have high hopes. We just didn't love them. Like, some things you just don't love, and that's one of them. And I grew way too many for something that we'd never even tried before. They were good, but also I didn't appreciate how many beans one of these things could produce. So that's going to be a change for next year. It's going to be less noodle beans. Under the arches, that's my wild radish area. I picked enough out of there to pickle. I'm hoping, since I picked the bigger ones, some more of them will start to form bulbs. We'll see what happens. They planted themselves. I didn't weed in there. I didn't do anything in there. So whatever they produce will be great. This is radish, this is beets right here. I planted them and the bunnies ate them, and now I've replanted them. I see some sprouts, but not very much. Same with the carrots. Like, I can see a couple little carrots in here, but not what I should. And at this point it's too late to plant anymore. So I need to get out here and I need to do some more watering, and maybe that'll give it a boost. But I mean, our first frost, I haven't looked at the forecast lately. I mean, usually it's the end of October, so we're really reaching the end here. So I don't, it's been a tough fall in the garden. I do have one by that little sign. I have one collard growing there. Oh, and I have like 4 turnips growing back there. So that's fun. Over here the other day, I planted some greens. I planted spinach, 2 types of kale, I think, and Swiss chard. I think that was it. I think that's what I did right here. I do see some sprouts, some little bitty sprouts. You probably can't see them. But again, it's so dry. I got to get out here. I got to keep watering because it's just way too dry. I think the okra are slowing down. Holy cow, these guys are pretty slow in time. And look how tall they are. They're ridiculous. This isn't even the tall one. Here, come down here. This is the tall one. I should get out a tape measure and measure this because I bet it is probably close to 8 feet tall. It might even be more than 8 feet tall. I'm not sure. I should get out a measuring stick and measure it though. I'll have to do that before I take them out. I kind of ignored them for a few days and then came out here and had like more than a gallon bucket full to be picked. So that's been good. It turns out I was earlier in the season, I was thinking I hadn't planted enough because we weren't really getting enough to preserve. But now I've pickled some and I have put some in the freezer. I'm trying freezing them. I saw a suggestion to you bake them at 350 for like 4 minutes and then put them in the freezer, you know, lay them out on a sheet and freeze them and put them in bags or whatever. So we tried that and we'll see how it goes. I haven't defrosted any of them yet. The peas, I replanted the peas. Some of them are, mostly what I'm growing right now is volunteers from the summer garden. There are tomatoes all over the place here. There are zinnias down at that end, like crazy little baby zinnias. I have baby cinnamon basil all over the place in there. I'm actually thinking, because I didn't use the cinnamon basil that much this year, I just didn't get around to figuring out what to do with it, aside from making like a batch or 2 of cookies, which was fun and unique, but you know. When the frost is about to hit, I might come out here and pick every single volunteer cinnamon basil plant and dry the leaves and see how they are as like a tea or something like that. We'll see. Just thoughts floating in my head. I have random plants that have survived really well, like this marigold. This over there. Look at that giant nasturtium. It survived all summer and came back. Most of the ones died when it got too hot and eventually they looked so terrible that I pulled them out. That one came back and it's huge. It's probably 3 feet across right now. Anyway, so I am not seeing any of the bunching onions popping up. I don't know what happened there. And like I said, it's too late to figure it out. Maybe I'll try again in the spring. I do have some pea plants growing. They're pretty slow. We'll see what happens. Just hope for the best. I guess hope for a late frost. I do have what I think are a couple of the calendula, but I'm not sure. And again, I feel like they're really slow. I don't know if it's because I planted a little too late or just all the problems with the rabbits and there's been no rain. Maybe that's been it. Who knows? This is spinach that I planted, lost to the rabbits, replanted, and I can count on one hand how many little plants are out there, so we'll see. I don't have high hopes for it. Over here, there is a giant hole I'm just seeing. What is that? Anybody knows what that might be, let me know, because I bet it's damaging my plants. You can see my lettuces. The lettuces actually have probably sustained the least amount of damage from the rabbits. I've got this little bit here on the end, although, ooh, look at the nibbles right there. I see some nibbles. Sorry, I have a hair. And here's this row, and I'm thinking maybe I need to hurry up and harvest some lettuce while I still have a chance to beat the animals to it. We'll see. I have this one row of beets doing great. I actually picked one of these the other day. It wasn't quite ready. I mean, it was small, but just for the fun of it. That's the white icicle. And then I do have these little guys. I see them starting to pop up. Not too great. I have a giant watermelon plant right there. Those look like cantaloupe plants and a few little radishes. And here's a few radishes, and just like I said, just tons and tons of volunteers from the summer that I just haven't worked up the energy to go through and pull them out yet. I can't imagine, I mean, the melons certainly won't do anything. The tomatoes, they are a cherry tomato. I just don't think they're going to quite get big enough to make any fruit before the frost. Although, it might be something to try next year to see if I can do a second wave of cherry tomatoes. We'll see. Again, volunteers, I have volunteer bachelor buttons. I just shocked myself because that fence is on. Volunteer marigolds. Here's all the volunteer zinnias I was talking about. Again, pretty small. Don't think they're gonna produce any flowers or anything. Something else that I might want to try next year, I think if I'd pulled out the bigger plants sooner and given these guys more of the space, that maybe they would have had a chance of actually getting big enough to produce something. So yeah, oh, one more. Didn't quite make it all the way around the garden yet. Here we have, there's more okra and jalapenos. I've been terrible about preserving my jalapenos. All I've really done with them is use them in salsa and use them a little bit in my cooking. There's enough on here that I should harvest, and I should either pickle or make the like cowboy candy or whatever, the sweet pickled jalapenos. But I got to put that after the applesauce. So if I can get through that bag of apples, these guys are next. And the plants still look great, and they're still putting on flowers and fruit. There's all stages of jalapenos on there, and they look great. So it's given me a little more time, so that's good because I just haven't had time to do it. These guys, I think, are about done. They're, like I said, there's still flowers. It seems like, I don't know if the flowers maybe just aren't getting pollinated at this point. I haven't seen a lot of pollinators around lately. I am not going to take the time to hand pollinate them. I do have a couple of small fruit on the other one, so maybe I can get a few more. We'll see. I've already been pretty happy with them. They've produced enough that I've made a batch of pickles. We've eaten a bit. I have a few left on my counter that I just haven't gotten around to doing anything with, so clearly that's been good enough for us. That's pretty much it. I got some volunteer lettuce over here. And that's what's been going on. A quick walk around the garden. This morning I butchered meat chickens and my rooster and one older hen who I think had sauerkraut, and I need to look into how worried I should be about the fact that she had sauerkraut. I don't think it's a big deal, but something was wrong with her. She had grains in her crop after having nothing to eat for at least 12 hours, which I think that's sauerkraut. I think that's what I have to look into it. I haven't had a chance to sit down and figure it out yet. I haven't had these kind of health problems in my chickens before. I don't think it's a concern for the others, but again, I got to do some research. I wanted to do the rooster and 3 of the older layers, and I didn't get to the last 2 because I have little kids and mommy was needed in the house. And I also ran into like a bunch of different silly little problems while I was processing them that just slowed me down a ton. Like just things like running out of the fuel for my little camp stove that I use to keep my water hot for when I scald them. Like silly little stuff like that that just added time onto what I was doing. The last meat chicken, I couldn't catch the silly thing. Like I had caught all the other ones so easily because they don't usually run away. They're not really afraid of you, and I hadn't fed them. So anytime I walked over, they were like, "Ooh, you're coming to feed us. Yay, yay." Nope. The last one wanted nothing to do with me. Chased the thing around. It was ridiculous. So, just, little stuff like that kind of slowed things down. That's all right. I will maybe we'll do a few more of them this spring. I really have too many older hens right now. I really have too many chickens in general right now. There's, for the space that I have for them, there's just too many of them. So there needs to be a few less. The good thing now, though, is without the rooster, I'm going to let my kids in there, and it's going to be a lot less stressful for me trying to keep an eye on them, because while he had never attacked them, it's like they're trying to get him to attack them, especially my 2-year-old. You know, he's like coming at the rooster. I'm like, that is not how you behave around this sort of animal. And I feel bad, but he is just now getting to the age where I usually find that roosters start to get mean, you know, for whatever reason. This seems to be the age. Oops, sorry. So anyway, that's all I have. I'm going to go make dinner because it's getting late. We're going to hope that these clouds actually turn into some rain, although fingers crossed, but I don't know that that's going to happen. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.